Fought in the summer of 2008, the Battle of Asuras was the climactic engagement of the Tauri-Asuran War, and represents not only the largest, but one of the most important battles ever to be fought by the forces of the Tauri. In the weeks leading up to the battle, the Asuran replicators had been placed firmly on the defensive by the Earth warships Daedalus and Apollo, whose newly installed Asgard beam weapons were proving to be brutally effective against Asuran warships. After losing 7 vessels across a number of Tauri ambushes, the Asuran leadership eventually decided to change tactics and withdraw their remaining 31 Aurora-class battleships to their home system, where they could work in conjunction with surface weapon emplacements to defeat any Tauri attack. Faced with the impregnable defences of the Asuras system, the Tauri were forced to look to other powers to help assemble a larger fleet. The Asurans had been inflicting serious damage upon the Wraith during the war, specifically targeting neutral human settlements near Wraith space in order to rob the vampiric race of their food supply. Faced with species-wide starvation, the Wraith elected to temporarily cease hostilities with the Tauri and commit 7 hive ships to the growing joint task force. The fleet was bolstered further still when the Travellers, who had only recently opened diplomatic relations with the Tauri, chose to deploy a detachment of 6 vessels to assist the fleet, as well as a commandeered Aurora-class battleship. The battle plan centered around deploying a Trojan horse replicator known as Fran to the surface of Asuras, whereupon a virus would be activated that would begin to merge all of the replicator cells on the planet into a single mass, destroying them in the process. It would take some time for this effect to reach the Asuran warships in orbit, and as a result, the Allied fleet would be forced to hold its ground after deploying the virus until the merging effect could run its course. The joint armada entered the system at close range with weapons bared, and the Traveller fleet was able to bring down an Asuran warship and cripple a second in the opening moments. Another replicator vessel fell victim to a railgun broadside from the USAF Apollo, whose departure from hyperspace at such close range had caught the Asuran vessel completely off guard. Having cleared their entry point, the Apollo now delivered Fran to the planet's surface via transporter, as well as deploying a team of Marines led by Ronan Dex to another part of Asuras, where they would protect Dr. Rodney McKay as he sabotaged the planet's supply of zero-point modules. Moving deeper into the Asuran gravity well, the Daedalus and Apollo deployed their wings of F-302s, alongside a vast number of Wraith darts launched from the 7 hive ships. Escorted by the Wraith fighters, the 302s were able to knock out another Asuran battleship using Naquadah-tipped missiles, and their distraction provided a large enough opening for the USAF Daedalus to score yet another kill using her Asgard beam weapons. Having moved into position, Fran was activated, and the replicator merging process began to take effect, but casualties among the Allied fleet had started to mount, with both a Wraith hive ship and a Traveller vessel falling victim to Asuran pulse lasers, as well as serious losses among the Wraith fighter wings, and heavy damage to the USAF Apollo. As the battle continued to rage, the Traveller's commandeered battleship was able to tear a hostile craft in half, inspiring the closest Asuran vessel to attempt a hyperspace ram in a desperate bid to remove the captured ship from the fight. Thankfully, Tauri Colonel John Shepard was aboard the battleship to operate its drone launchers, and he was able to launch a lethal salvo at the enemy vessel before it could engage its hyperdrive. Though the Allied fleet had performed exceptionally, the sheer size of the Asuran force was beginning to overpower them. Their fighter losses had become extreme, and the damage to the USAF Apollo had mounted to the point of critical danger. With their shields about to fail, and their systems weakened by bleed-through damage, Colonel Abraham Ellis considered pulling his ship away from the front line, but his concerns were lifted when the effects of the replicator virus finally spread to the enemy fleet. In short order, the remaining Aurora-class battleships were left dead in space, but the resulting mass of replicator cells had managed to survive destruction by the Fran virus. Faced with no alternative, Dr. McKay used his position in the ZPM room to remotely increase the density of the replicator mass to that of a neutron star, beginning a process that would shortly destroy the entire planet. With Asuras becoming critically unstable, the Apollo recovered her Marines and Dr. McKay via transporter, and the Allied fleet rapidly withdrew into hyperspace as the planet exploded. The Battle of Asuras was a decisive victory for the Tauri, and removed a serious threat to all the major powers of the Pegasus galaxy. The Wraith ships that fought in the battle refused to travel to the fleet rendezvous point, immediately returning to a state of war with the other nations, now that their common enemy had been defeated. The same was not true for the Travellers, however, whose assistance and sacrifice sacrifice in the battle led to the establishment of a fully fledged alliance with the Tauri, as well as a technology sharing program that would prove to be highly beneficial to both powers.